Hey there, bookworms. Welcome to Pouring Over Books, a podcast where we dive into the books we love and maybe a few we didn't. I'm your host, LaShawn, and every week I'll be deep diving into what I'm reading, recommendations, and talking about all the things that we love about books. So grab your favorite coffee or tea, find a cozy spot, and let's get ready to pour over some great books together. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Pouring Over Books podcast. I am LaShawn, your host, and friends. How is it already March? How did that happen so quickly? I mean, the last week seemed to fly by, but maybe it's just because my husband was out of town and I was parenting the teen alone. But he is a good house companion. He's very helpful, but he also stays to himself. He loves being in his room with his games, his friends, his girlfriend, talking on the phone, that is. So I had a lot of downtime on my hands after hours, so I did read a lot in the last week. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and start with what I am reading right now this week. Currently, I am reading Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. The premise: Dr. Janelle Cross heads to Tulum for her sister's wedding, where she is the maid of honor, the bride is bridezilla, and her ex is the groom. When the best man, Rome Martin, her ex's best friend, suggests a no-strings fling, Janelle agrees, just for the week. But what happens in Tulum doesn't always stay there. Rome has always wanted Janelle, but loyalty kept him away. Now, with every stolen kiss and shared adventure, they realize their chemistry is more than a fling. Can they risk it all for something real? Or will there romance in the wedding? I am actually listening to this book, and I don't know what I expected, but my coffee got cold because it quickly evolved into spiciness. Like, I had a feeling, but I did not know. I was not prepared. And I'm not complaining, but I will say I'm not really enjoying the narrators. If it was a physical book, I would be done by now, but I'll keep listening because it tickles me when I roll down my window in the drive-thru and the person in the window is scandalized. Yes, that really happened yesterday. So anyway, that's what I'm reading this week right now. I'm actually reading a couple more books, but we'll discuss them below. Anyway, let's get into what I read in February. It was a good month, a good reading month. I read 11 books, I read 12. But I'm not bringing all of those books because, frankly, most of them were just okay. And by okay, my rating system, 3 stars is okay. It means it was good. I enjoyed the process, but I don't have to read it again, or I might read it again. You never know. But I had a lot of 3 stars. I had a good mix, I believe, but I just went ahead and picked 4 that I love that I wanted to talk about today. Number 1, Deep In by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I love Ali Hazelwood, usually because she writes about smart women, and the love story and the steam are always a good time, like always. But she has been branching out of her usual tropes and writing different kinds of love stories in the last year. Last year, she did a YA romance, which was actually pretty good. She did a fantasy, which involved knotting. That's Knotting. Please look it up because I don't want to have to explain. And her last book was steamier than most, I thought, but personally, I loved it. A lot of people did not. And I think because it really was a departure from how she usually writes, the characters she usually writes. But I personally, I loved it. It's actually one of my faves of hers. But anyway, I ordered the Deep In, and had it about a week before I picked it up. And then I picked it up because I planned on just keeping it for, and deciding later when I was going to read it. But I picked it up because the book internet streets were going wild. There seemed to be 2 camps. They either wildly loved this book or they were horrified and saying it wasn't for them because the 2 main characters explored BDSM, which, to make a long story short, is what 50 Shades of Grey wanted to be. BDSM sex, now I have to put an explicit title on this, Basically, BDSM sex is a term for a variety of sexual practices, includes bondage, discipline, dominance, submission. And the people were not okay and thought this was a hard turn from her usual. Me, having actually read BDSM books, it's not my thing, but I was willing to give this book a try. So let me tell you what the book is really about. Stanford diver Scarlett, recovering from an injury and focused on med school, avoids romance. World champion swimmer Lucas, disciplined and driven, seems to be her opposite. A shared secret, the BDSM, leads to supposedly a temporary arrangement. But as the Olympics approach, their connection deepens, and Scarlett finds herself unexpectedly falling for Lucas, risking her carefully guarded heart. First of all, I loved this book. Loved it. The emotional growth of both of our characters, but really the main female character was really, really well done. It's a love story with depth. Yes, it contains some miscommunication tropes, but what do you expect from college students, especially emotionally stunted ones? Okay, now the sex. Child, this was vanilla BDSM. I mean, there was one scene where maybe I'll give you 5 chili peppers, but again, it was that one scene. The rest of them, I mean, while they were spicy, I was like, I mean, come on, y'all. The rest was vanilla-ish. I'm going to say vanilla-ish BDSM because, there was some control, there was dominance, there was submission, there was discipline, but not half as bad as people were portraying it to be. Like I said, it was very vanilla-ish. And I'm actually going to say that if you are interested in reading books with that theme, this is a good entry point because it eases you in. It really does. Because the characters are easing into it. It's their first time. That's a spoiler. But not really. It eases you into it. It's more about consent and trust than anything else, really. Especially for these two characters, it's really more about trust. It was well done. And like I said, if you want to explore the world of BDSM but don't want to go full on 50 Shades or full on Lights Out, the book Lights Out, try this before you move to DEFCON 5. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was good. It was good. I was excited about it. The second book, of course, that I want to talk about is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Y'all know I have to talk about this book. I debated how to review this without giving away the plot to the first 2 books or the plot of this one and still keep you interested, but here we go. I'm not going to say anything about what the book is about because, frankly, it will spoil the first 2 books if you haven't read it. If you have read the first 2 books, then this will help you out. This was a good, solid book that was needed in the middle of a series because there are going to be 5, so this is like the bookmark in the middle of the story. She had to do a lot of world building. She had to do a lot of plotting to move us forward. And I enjoyed it. The part of the story where you were like, oh my God, this is getting so good. That's what this book felt like to me. Personally, like I said, I loved all the world building and the time we really got to know all of the characters. And my God, there were so many. You really almost need a chart with all of the characters, which is why you should read it slow and not try to speed through it, which is what a lot of people were trying to do and why they got confused and felt disappointed. But I digress. Again, I loved all the world building and the time we got to know the characters. I liked the fact that Zayden and Violet's love for one another really, really stood the test of time. Like, really. That's not a spoiler, but if you have read the book, you know what I mean. Like, damn. Anyway, did it seem to just keep going? Yes. But I felt that way about the first 2 books too. Like when you think, oh, this should come to a natural conclusion. No, it just keeps going. Did it come to an abrupt and startling end? Again, yes. Am I mad about it? Still, a month later, yes. I am unwell still. But only because I know that as of today, she has not even started the next book. And Rebecca, girl, take care of you, take care of your mental health, take your time and make it right. We don't want a bad book. So do you. So I'll be in for the long wait until I can find out exactly what happened. And this is also why I don't like starting series that are not finished. Otherwise, I give this a solid 4.25 out of 5. For reference, I gave the others a 4. This was good. I am unwell. I screamed when I turned the page and in my Janet Jackson voice said, is that the end? Because I was like, Are you serious? All right. The next book that I'm going to bring that I read was Sister Sister by Eric Jerome Dickey. We read this one for our February Pouring Over Books book club. This year we are reading Black chick lit from the 90s and early 2000s. Let's talk about this book. Valerie, Inda, and Chiquita are three women looking for love in Los Angeles, three Black women. Valerie became the perfect wife to please her husband, Walter, whose football career has gone nowhere along with their marriage. Then she meets Daniel, Valerie's divorced sister. Inda has Raymond, who has a hot body, smooth moves, and another girlfriend on the side. Now, Inda's scheming to get even, and after telling her last boyfriend to hit the road, Chiquita takes up with Thaddeus, Inda and Valerie's irresistible brother. Has Chiquita finally found a good man? Yes. Yes. It is as convoluted as it sounds. Disclaimer, I haven't read this book since my early 20s, and I was eager to reread it because I was like, oh, this was a great book, right? It was okay. This is the second book that we have read in the book club where from these books that we read in the 90s and early 2000s where I'm like, okay, what I perceive as a good story in my 20s and now in my 40s has changed dramatically. Now, do I love mess? Yes. Do I love character growth? Again, yes. Do I love a good romance? Again, yes. This book had all three, and yet I was just okay with it. It wasn't that the book was bad. It wasn't even that some of the jargon had me cringing. They kept referring to a cell phone as a C phone, and one of the characters kept calling her man her lover, and it was just annoying. But it was just okay. Like, it was a good way to pass the time. I enjoyed it, but it's firmly in my 3-star category, which means that, like I said earlier, books are okay. Not great, not bad, just okay. I'm sad about it actually, because I was looking forward, because, in my brain, in my 20-something-year-old brain, this was a great book. And my 40-year-old brain was like, no, girl. But it is what it is. So like I said, I gave this a solid 3 out of 5. The last book that I want to talk about that I read in February is Can't Get Enough by Kendi Ryan. I'm not going to hold you. I'm just going to tell you that this is 5 stars. And as soon as it comes out, you need to purchase it and read it immediately. Let's go into the premise. Hendrix Berry has it all. Amazing friends, a lovely family, a thriving business in the entertaining industry. Romance, not her priority. But with an aging parent to care for and big ambitions, relationships feel like a distraction. Until tech mogul Maverick Bell enters the picture. He's charming, relentless, and impossible to ignore. From their first charged glance, Hendrik knows he's a temptation she shouldn't entertain. But when Maverick sees, desires, and understands her like no one else, resisting him might be her biggest challenge yet. Will she stick to her path, or will she risk it all for love? I said I wasn't going to do an in-depth review right now, friends, because this book does not come out until May. I'll do one. I'll come back, and when I say books that I'm looking forward to that month, I will include this book with a whole ass review. But let me just let you know that Hendrik's story is worth the wait and the hype. That Mav is perfect. There is a scene up against a wall at a birthday party where his ex, who is still in love with him, is in the next room. And I just need you to know that this is just an excellent book. And it's really about women who hit glass ceilings and what they must give up. And can they really have it all? I need you to know that the love and care that she wrote, the experience of caring for a parent with Alzheimer's, was excellent. That this is so good, I might reread it on release day. In fact, I know I will. Like I said, I'll probably write out a more in-depth review closer to the release date because it deserves all the flowers and all the promotion. 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, it's the perfect conclusion to the series. It's excellent. And when she comes to Atlanta, I'm gonna try to be there real bad. Real bad. If anybody can hook me up, I appreciate it. All right. So those are the books that I wanted to talk about that I read in February. Let's talk about 3 books on my radar for March. Number 1, Bound by Tracy Dion is out today, March. I planned on being done with Blood Marked, the second book in the series by now, so that I could just dive right in. But I pre-ordered the book from Barnes& and Noble, and it just shipped this morning, so it says it's going to be here Thursday. Originally, it said tomorrow, Wednesday, but I looked this morning and it says Thursday, but it's okay. It gives me time. I am taking my time with the book then. I will binge read it this weekend because next week I have tickets to a book signing event here in Atlanta and I have questions. I will report back next week on that book, but I am going to recommend Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. Fantasy, in case you did not know, I forgot to say that. It is YA fantasy, so there is minimal sex scenes. There is no sex scenes. There is no smut. It is simply just a good book. Like I said, it's got world building. It's got character growth. Bree, our main character, she gets on my nerves, but she's a teenager. She's supposed to. But it is an excellent, excellent series, and I recommend it. I really recommend it. Also out today is Dream by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I hope I said that right. If the name sounds familiar, it's because she wrote the book Americana and Beyonce sampled a section of her TED Talk, We Should All Be Feminist, in her song Flawless. Anyway, she has a new book out today, and here's what it's about. During the pandemic, Nigerian travel writer Chiamaka, located in America, reflects on the past relationships and regrets. Her lawyer friend, Sakura, faces heartbreak and seeks unexpected support. Chiamaka's successful cousin, Omilogo, in Nigeria, reevaluates her self-perception. Meanwhile, Kadaditu, Chiamaka's housekeeper, confronts a devastating challenges to her American dream. Each woman navigates personal crisis, revealing vulnerabilities and the strength required to overcome them. I love that in the last year or so, we have had more books coming out about people's experiences during the pandemic. I often wonder if one day it will all be placed under a new genre called pandemic fiction or something. But anyway, yes, so that book also comes out today. The next book that I want to talk about, actually, I'm going to have 4 books. I forgot about that because I forgot about this one. The third book I want to talk about today is Wild Side by Elsie Silver, also out today. Elsie Silver, in my eyes, can do no wrong. She is one of my favorite romance authors, and there have been only maybe 2 books of hers that I did not like. It was only one that I flat out didn't like, and one I was just like, okay, it's just okay. Anyway, this is the 3rd book in her Rose Hill series. Let's see what it's about. Tabitha never imagined marrying a man she hates, but to keep custody of her nephew, she'll do whatever it takes, even if it means wedding Rice Dupree. Broody, secretive, and always disappearing with mysterious bruises, Rice is impossible to understand. They barely talk, but when they do, the tension is undeniable. And when they don't, his heated stares say everything. Child. Living together reveals a different Reese, fierce, protective, unexpectedly gentle. The more she sees the man behind the mask, the harder it is to hate him, and far too easy to fall for her husband. I love Elsie Silver, and I love the marriage of convenience trope, mainly because it forces them and they have to put on the show for people sometimes. I like these types of things in my romance novels. I started reading this morning during my morning reading time and can confirm it is good because that's a whole new thing. But yes, so that one I said earlier that I was going to talk about what I'm currently reading. This is the book that I am currently reading. The next book that I want to talk about, so it's the 4 books, is Tilt by Emma Pete. It's out March 25th. I love dystopian fiction. Let's just start there. I can hear somebody asking, so what exactly is dystopian fiction? It is a genre of speculative fiction that portrays a future society where society is plagued by oppression, poverty, or extreme control by an oppressive regime. Often presenting a bleak and hopeless version of the world, essentially the opposite of utopia. Think Handmaid's Tale, 1984, The Hunger Games, Parable of the Sower. Basically some of my favorite books. So this book piqued my interest. The premise: 9 months pregnant and shopping at IKEA, Annie is caught in a devastating earthquake in Portland. With no phone, money, or a way to reach her husband, she has no choice but to walk home. As she navigates the wreckage, she encounters both kindness and chaos. a grocery store riot, strangers' generosity, and an unexpected bond with a young mother. Along the way, she reflects on her crumbling marriage, stalled career, and fears of motherhood. If she can make it home, she's determined to change her life. I was just like intrigued. I went past this book in the publisher's weekly magazine. You know, you can go online and see what books are coming out. And I kept seeing this book. But I kept going back, past it and coming back, past it and coming back. And finally, I was like, okay, I want to read this book. So I have an advanced copy of it, and I am going to read it when it comes out, probably a little bit before it comes out. And then I will tell you all what I think. Okay, friends, that is it today. There are several more books coming out this month, but those are the four that I personally am looking forward to and that I want to tell you about today. There is currently not much else going on other than books and life. I have been getting back into watching TV shows, and today is the last episode of Paradise for the season. I have heard it's starring Sterling K. Brown. It is excellent TV on Hulu. It is, my God, y'all, it is good. Do you watch it? I mean, because it is so good. If you don't watch it, go find a way. Find a way. And after I get the boy off for school today, I'm looking forward to some downtime this morning with my coffee, and I'm going to sit and watch an episode or two of The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan. Her new show, her new Netflix series starts today. I have it queued up, and it's called With Love, Megan, and I'm going to chill, drink my coffee, and enjoy it. It looks like it's like those old school Food Network shows that we used to love, you know, like the Barefoot Contessa, like all the old ones when Food Network first started, where they cooked and then there was a story and there was a guest, and you know, you got some stories, you got some food, you got some recipes. And it was just good TV. Now Food Network is just all Guy Fieri and cooking competitions. Who cares? I don't care. I want old school cooking shows, you know. Even, I mean, before we discovered how bad Paula Deen was, you know, stuff like her show was good. What was her name? The little Italian lady. All of those shows were so good. But anyway, we missed them. So that is what I am watching. And that is that. Please remember, if you liked or were interested in any of the books that I talked about today, links will be in the show notes. The links and the book titles will be in the show notes. I hope you heard something that you want to add to your TBR. Please make sure that you share and leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice. It helps us to grow and find other bookish friends. Please remember to follow me on at LaShawn Wills on IG and TikTok, or my Substack, Letters to LaShawn. Okay, folks, that is all. I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.